What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, Steven Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel. All right, guys, today's topic. I'm going to keep going through some of these receivers, especially like as we get some guys maybe with value picks. So, day 2 of the draft, and I still think there are some guys with value picks that I haven't covered yet, and I want to make sure we get film on them just in case we hear their name called. I don't know that we're going receiver in the second round. My gut instinct says we'll probably go defense here, but you got to keep guys on the board because you don't know who's going to slip, who's going to fall, and who the Eagles have rated highly on that board, and they might go, So, I want to talk about this gentleman. He's a wide receiver from Colorado University, Laviska Shenault. Big, physical, another one of these kind of Anquan Bolden-like guys. He loves contact, right? Similar in ways to CeeDee Lamb, although I do think CeeDee Lamb is better. But he's definitely in this category of players, this big, strong, physical guys. Now, there are some things on CeeDee Lamb's film I'm going to show you today, guys, that concern me. And there are some things on his film where I go, okay, this kid, as a complimentary player, he's going to be good. Now, if he was your only selection, I would have major concerns. To begin with, his health situation is a little scary. Not that, core muscle injury is a huge deal, but it does concern me that he seems to, because of the style of football he plays, he does seem to suffer some injuries. But nonetheless, man, I like the kid's skill set. I like the kid's talent. And I'll be honest with you, he shocked me a little bit on film because when I first thought of Laviska Shenault, and I was watching a couple of his clips here and there before I really broke down game film, I didn't think that this kid was as fast as he comes across on film, guys. This kid's got some speed. He ain't Jalen Reagor, don't get me wrong. But this kid's a lot faster than when he looks. He's really quick in and out of his breaks. I was shocked at how much separation he was creating with his route running. It's not something I would have thought to have seen from this kid. It's not what I expected to find on tape. But I did see it. I mean, this kid was separating in his routes. I mean, I can understand why some teams early on in the draft process had this kid as a first-round selection. Now, I think the injury concerns, and let's be honest, it's hard to rate Big 12 guys. I mean, it's the same problem a lot of people have with CeeDee Lamb is when you look at the quality of competition, you got to really do your homework on the film and double and triple check things. And that's going to come up as a problem here as well, guys. I'm not going to sit there and hide that. But without further ado, guys, let's break down the film. Let's talk a little Laviska Shenault. This is a guy, I'll admit, guys, he caught my attention. I got concerns, but I do see that there is talent behind this kid. All right, y'all. Let's get to the film, y'all. Top of your screen, field side is the flanker. I love the way he finds the hole in that zone and then fights after the catch. As I watch film of Laviska Shenault, and I really analyze the film to try to get a feel for what would the positional alignment be for such a player, I do think this is very much a traditional X-aligned wide receiver, guys. A big physical guy. I thought that Laviska Shenault, in my opinion, really excelled at the underneath and intermediate route level. Doing things like, comebacks and curls, okay? Outs and in routes, slant routes. Those type of things, he looked like just a difference maker. I mean, he really understands where to find space, how to get to open space. He's physical after the catch. I love the way he kept the center of his base there. Sometimes route runners get too high and don't sink their hips right to come back. I mean, the kid has more playmaking ability than is expected, but I got to be honest with you, as I looked at the film, I think he's X-line. Now, look, they moved him all around in Colorado. I mean, I saw him play a lot as a flanker, as a Z, and they used him as the slot. I do think this kid does have some inside-outside capabilities. I think this is a kid that you could mix and match with a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, so you don't have to necessarily give up on J.J. Arcega-Whiteside with this pick. You can just, I think Reagor gives you this ability too. You can take those three guys, basically, and move them in any alignment by the matchup that you want. So I do like the aspect of being able to do that with this kid, but I will admit, guys, underneath routes, in the intermediate route level, I thought he was a much better football player than what I anticipated to see because he's much better at running his routes than what people think. This corner's trying to stack you because he doesn't want to get beat vertically. You got to come out with the feet of fire on this kid. It's the subtle things to Laviska Shenault's route running that make me think this kid has some talent here. Now listen, he's better in the short and intermediate level when it comes to route running, guys. He's really good at the break. It's at the top of his route stem, the way he breaks off his routes, that creates the separation. Watch that front leg jab step and then the control he keeps with his hips and his frame, the body. I don't think that he's particularly great at the release off the line of scrimmage. I think he's okay. I think he's got some stuff to learn there. I do think that there were times when you put guys on him who were bigger and physical, just like him, they could disrupt his timing, and he even lost his attitude, and he lost. He's got to keep his composure under control there.
From the 42, they fake it to Fontenot's protection, giving Montez time to loft it down the field.
In addition to that, guys, I don't think that he gives you a lot of, double fakes and double moves. I don't think he sells a lot with like the way he positions his body to go one way, then goes the other. I don't think that's what he's doing. I just think he has really good body control to where he's really good at keeping. He's really good at not leaning forward or getting too tall in that route stem, keeping it nice and centered, sinking his hips, and then turning back and coming back to the football. That's how he creates a lot of separation that I've seen on film, and that's what I would like to see this young man keep doing, because as an X-aligned receiver, he can be special in that regard. And the fact that he's, maybe slightly above average at the release at the line of scrimmage, and the fact that he can learn more about, giving double moves, giving head fakes, using his body to manipulate defenders, just shows that this kid's not done developing, which means he can get better. So, I mean, it's things like that sometimes I think people, they miss out on, is like, okay, what is it about the kid that makes him not quite as good as another prospect? And do we think this kid is intelligent enough to learn those things? And if he learns those things, do we now project and value this kid to be better than the kid that right now is in a much better place? I mean, these things all go into the evaluation here, guys. And I think Laviska Shenault is worth a look, guys. I'm not going to lie. Once again, he creates a lot of separation with a very clean break in that route stem. Now, I want to get into some of the things I saw on film that concern me about Laviska Shenault. Just the film, all right? This is why I think that if you see the Eagles go with a receiver in the second round, I mean, clearly we really are just going to tear down that receiver room, and we really want to bring in a lot of bodies. I think we're going to go another receiver, but it would be surprising to see them go receiver again in the second round, although I won't say that it's impossible. I mean, the situation is what the situation is. But I think Laviska Shenault makes a lot of sense as a guy who starts slipping when you get to around the third round. If he slips past the second round into the third round. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, if I'm the Eagles, I'm paying attention to this kid. Now, on film, some of the things that I saw that concern me about this young man has to do with his hands at times. At times, I think this kid can make spectacular catches that are just ridiculous. I mean, that's just an incredible play. It's nothing to do with anything other than just special athleticism. And then at times, I see a lot of concentration drops that are just not defensible. I can't give an adequate defense for this young man not securing the ball in before looking downfield to make a play.
Tunnel it to Shenault.
And that's the thing, is he is a playmaker. But with playmakers, they do tend to have these concentration drops because they're so focused on making the play that they're not actually completing the process of the catch. That's always been a thing that I've seen out of these type of kids, and Laviska Shenault is no different. I see a lot of concentration drops on his film. Here goes Shenault, lined up as the quarterback in a wildcat formation. Special athlete, guys. Some final thoughts on Laviska Shenault are this, guys. This kid was way more athletic than I anticipated to see on film. I didn't know this kid had this kind of actual separation abilities. He even separates downfield, guys, but I will admit there are times when he separates down film and I go, oh, okay, there's something there. This kid's good. If you're going to play man press on Laviska Shenault, you better make sure you get your hands on him and disrupt that route. And then there are other times when this young man has an opportunity, beats his man. Maybe the ball sometimes can tend to be a little underthrown to him, but to me, I don't see it in terms of the adjustment back to the football. And for a guy as strong as he is, I felt like he should have been better at adjusting to the football, squaring the body up, going up with those strong hands, and making contested catches. I don't love the effort here. Young man, square your body up and go get that football. And sometimes it's a concentration thing to where it's just kind of dropping out of his hands. And other times it's just he's not fighting it and getting the body positioning right to go make the catch. So it could be frustration because there were quite a few underthrown balls on the film here. But I would have liked to have seen more out of him in that regard, guys. I can't hide that. That's just the way I feel about the young man. I would have liked to have seen more. things that can be coached, guys. I mean, body positioning, that you can coach that. You can. Now, I do question the level of competition that Laviska Shenault faced. So the injury histories are the things you can't control, right? The things you can't control, they're just, what do you feel about the young man, right? I can't control his injury history. You can say that, look, man, some of this is brought on by the way that he plays football. He's a strong kid that loves contact. The more contact you subject yourself to, the more likely you are to sustain injury, okay? So there's no going away from that fact, guys. I do think there are some legitimate concerns about, can we keep this young man healthy on the field? The other part of this is like I said, guys, it's the level of competition, because I showed you he was embarrassing USC out here. USC is a horrible pass defense, one of the worst in the country. But when you turned it to Oregon, so I gave you 2 Pac-12 opponents. I know he plays in the Big 12, guys, but I wanted to give you 2 Pac-12 opponents to weigh it against. When I showed you Oregon, he struggled more, right? Oregon was more willing to fight with him down in the trenches to get dirty at that line of scrimmage. And he struggled a little more against Oregon. He still got his. I mean, he did okay against Oregon. But there's a big difference between the way that, the success rate that they faced against Oregon compared to USC. Like, it almost seemed like you were watching 2 different players at times. So that does concern me a little bit, guys. But you can't, that's a hard thing to do, because that's nothing to do with the players. It's not the players' fault, the level of competition they face. Nothing you can do about that. But if you're a scout or you're a GM, you do need to pay attention to the matchup that this kid faced, those one-on-one matchups. Take a look at the player they're going up against. Have your scouts evaluate that player, so that way you know more about the guy you're targeting right now. Because if you don't do that, that's how you get duped into taking guys that really fed off of bad competition. So that there is a proceed with caution aspect to it. That's why I like Shenault more as a 3rd rounder than a 2nd rounder. I think Shenault could be a very good football player, but the injuries, the lack of competition, I would kind of caution with that one into the 3rd round. But hey, look, man, this kid's way more, like I said, guys, he's more athletic than I thought. All right, guys, this is a little jet motion once again, showcasing that athleticism this young man has. But you already know I'm going to say, these are my thoughts, and you already know what I'm going to ask you. What are your thoughts? All right, guys, take a look at the film. Take a look at what I just showed you. Let me know, what do you think about Laviska Shenault, man? I think this is a sneaky, under-the-radar guy that, if he slips, guys, I'm not trading up to the 40 range to go get Laviska Shenault. I just think there's way better guys available still in that 40 range if we were going to do something like that. T. Higgins, Denzel Mims. There are so many other guys who can play this role, and I think you can make a case that Laviska Shenault is probably better than Claypool, but I don't know that, where do you value, how much do you give up when you got a guy like Claypool, or, Antonio Gandy Golden could still be on, there's going to be these type of internal discussions. But look, I thought he deserved at least a video, and I thought he deserved at least some attention here from us, okay? All right, y'all, let me know your thoughts. You know what time it is. EAGLES. All right, y'all, let's go Eagles.